Hi, my name's Sean Taylor. That's my friend Chris Ford, aka The Objective Geek of YouTube and Twitter fame. Chris, how you doing this week?
I am good. I'm good.
You said good, but it didn't sound good.
No, I am. I'm just tired. Doing a lot of homework, but not schoolwork.
I'm way
Uh,
better at the other kind. I'm way better at schoolwork than I am
yeah,
at your kind of homework.
but yeah, just been remodeling the bathroom. But I am very happy because got this big 300-pound double vanity up my stairs up to my bedroom, which it's been like haunting me for weeks, months. Yeah, really months on how just I'm going to get that in there. Oh, I meant to tell you before when I told my dad was like, "How did you even get it in here?" I was like, "Well, they just dropped it off and they put it in the garage." Then my friend Sean came and then we put it in the living room. He's like, "What? You got that strong?" I was like, and I was like, "No, Dad, like Sean's grounding me, like." Like, trust me, like you're probably stronger than them.
Absolutely. No question. I've never met your dad, never seen him. Still going to take that bet 9 times out of 10.
I'm sure my daddy has that old man strength.
My dad is not in shape at all, and he doesn't like work out, and he just works like a regular, like kind of blue collarish job, but not
Yeah,
like muscle. But he's still like we're talking about a 65-year-old man that's stronger than I will ever be, and I think that's unfair. And that's old
yeah,
man strength. That's what you're talking about.
yeah.
Um,
My dad's a welder,
don't
and
at least so
no,
yeah, welding. At least there's a lot of physical lifting and movement. I
yeah,
could definitely see that. Don't forget though, Heather was also there. We can't even take all the credit.
true.
Like we
That's
had
yeah,
you don't have to tell him that, but inside my own heart, I know that's the bare minimum that we needed to survive. It's very heavy vanity. Up the flight of stairs, though, that's incredible. Congratulations, really.
Thank you. Yeah, yeah. Honestly, it's been haunting my. I'm like, how am I gonna get this up? Like, I've schemed so many different ways on how to get it up there. Like, I purposely bought a dolly that's for taking things upstairs. Like, it has like three wheels on each kind of thing, so it
And you kind of
rotates.
pop it one stair at a time, sort of. Is that?
Yeah. Uh, but that wasn't going to work. So I really bought it for nothing. It was like $50. It was worth the investment, I think, and the chance that it could have made it easier. But
I
yeah, no,
mean, if you don't keep it or resell it or whatever,
yeah.
that's my segue into my week. Chris, I've had a very weird week, and I'm going to try my best to summarize it as quickly as I can. Uh, In-laws coming for like 4 days. Similar homework to what you're doing. Video game prices outrageous, so I've started selling a few of my games that are actually worth money. Most of my games are not. Don't interpret that the wrong way. But sold a few video games. Bought tickets to my first concert in like a decade, and it's not until October. Literally have not been to a concert I don't think since college, and even that was barely a concert. And did something else weird, and I don't remember what it was. Oh, I actually learned like a brand like new things in Excel. So not just things that I wasn't good at,
Like
and got
what?
better. It's so our old Payless colleagues taught me about slicers, and so I've been using pivot charts. So not just pivot tables. I've been using pivot
Oh,
charts with
yeah.
slicers. I had never used slicers before. Not that
Oh,
I'm
yeah.
arrogant
Okay.
enough to think there's not stuff in Excel that I have yet to learn, but that's like a feature that everybody just knew about and I just didn't. And that was kind of embarrassing and humbling for me. But that's good for me from time to time.
Yeah, I knew about that. I just don't use it.
I'm going to start using it all the time because people constantly ask me, they're like, hey, you know Excel, how do you do this? And I want to be like, I don't know formatty Excel. I know formula y Excel. They're a difference. Well, now I'm just going to pretend that I know formatty Excel. I'm just going to make pivot charts with slicers and be like, here you go. Yeah, so I had a weird week, and that's it. It was very exciting. Oh, selling my video games on Mercari. So if you feel like going and buying some video games on Mercari, go look me up, okay? You, not you, literally, Chris, unless you wanted to. You, everybody else. I say that there's like 5 things that I'm selling, and I'm making it sound like a big deal to impress my wife. Like, see, look at me, I'm responsible.
I so I buy a bunch of action figures all the time. I bought this. Gorilla Grodd thing. Off of Gorilla Grodd is a villain of the Flash. Barry Allen
He
of the
looked like a
Barry.
villain in Planet of the Apes.
He does. It's a he comes from this place called Gorilla City. He has like mind control and stuff, whatever. Not important. But the regular version is a gold version, right? There's a gold version.
He looks like
I bought this.
Goldar.
Yeah, he kind of
Goldar
does.
meets Planet of the Apes.
Wow. Yeah. Anyway, um, I bought off Amazon and I open it. I'm like, oh, it's silver. It's not gold. And I'm like, oh, this is the platinum edition. Like Amazon must have sent this to me on accident. But I think they just it's like a chase variant that they randomly put in. So I could like sell this right now off of eBay for like $100 minimum. And I really just wanted the gold one anyway. But also, I don't feel like going through the trouble of selling it on eBay.
Literally, the
But
only reason I picked Mercari is because auctions make me anxious, and the fees are slightly lesser on Mercari. And I know it's going to be a wash to like what I make regardless, but just trying to minimize my anxiety for selling. So if you need some Mercari tips, I've been doing it for 2 days now, so I'm pretty much an expert. I got like one feedback on my profile. I'm doing pretty well.
nice.
I really did show it to my like I made a real big deal of it to my wife though. I'm kind of like I'm ashamed in hindsight of how proud I was that I was parting with 1% of the garbage that I own and never touch. Oh well. Chris, today actual podcast things is that we are going to talk about book 2, Spirits of Legend of Korra. We're on chapter 13. It's called Darkness Falls, and if you can tell by the little image there, if you're not doing the audio only version, it's kind of intense. Anything you want to note before we jump into the review?
Uh, no.
Okay,
Let's get into it.
let's jump into it then. Metaphorically, I don't. You're in your own house. Jump if you want.
All right. So we start off with. Ooh, I am sorry for yawning. Start off with Fatu Unalak. Okay, so Cora is fighting Vatu. Sorry, I had to think about it. Cora's like, all right. The plan is Unlock wants to fuse with Fatu. Cora has to separate them so they don't fuse together. So then Makambolin takes Makambolin takes on Unlock. I do love how Cora goes into Avatar state and she like airbends him up and just like tosses him like 100 yards off out into the spirit world.
I feel like he should have died, and I don't like that about all cartoons of like when it's just regular humans. Like he should have died.
Yeah. I mean, if you think about it, she threw him through the spirit world into the
I'm not buying it.
into the into the south into the southern water tribe, which is full of water and stuff. He'll be able to catch himself just fine.
I
Like it's the
guess
word of Avatar.
bend himself. I don't know. Bend
Yeah,
himself down safely.
yeah.
I just. What did I watch? Maybe it's something I rewatching Dragon Prince, and I felt like there's something that's like that person should be dead.
She should have just like sucked the air out of him at that point, and then.
Oh yeah, that would have been kind of cool.
Yeah, but I mean, it wouldn't be any story, and
I know,
Corey
but
isn't like
it
a.
would have been really cool in that one moment until we realized we got another episode to go and be like, huh.
Uh, you know, so then it's Cora versus Unalak, which I really love this fight. There's a lot of like individual fights in this episode. Things get like really epic and intense, I think. Um, the Cora versus Fatu fight is really good. It's very reminiscent of the Wan versus Fatu fight. Just really love. Cora was just really going off against Vatu, and she really handled her own. She won that fight just the same way that Juan did. Like she was about to put him into the Tree of Time, and then Unalak came back and disrupted that. which means that he got away from Bolin and Mako
Who
because
had one
Bolin,
job?
yeah, Bolin and Mako got beat by Eska and Desna, and but I still really like also seeing Mako and Bolin fight together. They do such a good job of teamwork, really all throughout this episode. Like their communication without saying a single thing to each other is off the charts. Like one of these days, we're gonna do a sibling fighting tournament, and I would not be surprised
Tag
if
team wrestling, Bender
yeah.
style.
Well, I would say tag, not tag team. Is there any wrestling fight where there's no tagging? It's just 2-on-2.
Uh, I just want to say battle royale like Glenn from Accepted, but that's not quite it. But yeah, I get the
Yeah,
concept of it's more like a 2-on-2 Yu-Gi-Oh match where you can target either opponent simultaneously.
true. Yes.
It's exactly. I just
Uh,
wanted to talk about Yu-Gi-Oh.
but they would be behind it. That'd be really interesting tournament though. One of these days we're gonna get to that. What's gonna do for Sibling Day?
Should have
But
done
kind
it
of
on
forgot.
Siblings Day. Yeah, dang
I
it.
forgot about.
What are we thinking? I don't know
That
when
was my
Siblings Day, and it
plan.
feels like it was recent.
It was very recent. It was like 3 months ago. The thing is, like, I'm sure like 6 or 9 months ago, I messaged you like, "Hey, for Sibling Day, let's do this fighting tournament," and then you probably said, "Yeah, sounds great." And then
Probably
Sibling
that
Day goes
sounds like me.
by.
Yeah. That sounds exactly like the conversation that we would have is you, hey, let's do a sibling day tournament. And I'd be like, yeah, that's a good idea.
And then like Sibling Day went by, like I recognized it was Sibling Day, like oh it's Sibling Day, and then
I
my
did not.
my head did not wasn't like oh wait we should do that tournament thing.
I'm so sorry, siblings. I still care for you deeply. They don't listen to this podcast. What am I talking about?
Yeah, forget my 4 siblings. How many siblings do you have?
4. Yep.
Oh okay.
Yeah. They don't. They
You
don't
have
listen to this. Which makes it feel more honest. I say, yeah, I care about them deeply, but I have no idea when Siblings Day is. I'm sure it's a beloved holiday in some households.
Nah, I doubt it.
I doubt it.
I mean, out
It's
of all the
mostly
fabricated holidays,
it's
like
Facebook garbage, is all it is,
it is, yeah.
and that's just fine. Love your siblings every day and all that stuff.
Yeah. Basket Destin would also rank high in that. They do a really great job of fighting
But
together
they're
as
not as
one.
diverse. With Bolin and Mako, you get the diversity, and that's
That
huge.
is true. That is true. Very true.
I'm sorry, I'm giving away pointers ahead of our official Sibling Day episode,
Yeah.
2022 Siblings Day.
Yeah. Look out for that. Um, okay. What else is there? Okay. So Unalak gets away, and then Unalak fuses with Vatu to become the Dark Avatar, and I really love this fight be between between Unalak and Cora as like 2 avatars. Oh, there's so much good like lore. I think like it's the epic fight between good and evil, but in the Avatar realm. Like it will never get more black and white, which could probably sound like a diss towards it, but it's not at all. Well, I mean, I like those epic stories of good versus evil, and this definitely represents that.
Um, I, I do and I don't. I don't know. I'm still just having such a hard time buying into this story or feeling hooked into the story. And maybe it's because Unalak doesn't make that side feel. Thinking I'm gonna harken to book 3, where the book 3 and book 4, where the antagonists' causes feel a little more relatable or hashed out or whatever. When in Unalak, it feels like he's just being an asshole. I mean, the
Yeah,
same cause is there, and they explain it in book 3, right? They at least harken back to it in books 3 and 4 and elaborate on it a bit and all that. But in the moment right now, I feel like he's just being a jerk, so it doesn't feel as real as those other great stories, that as real as any of the other 3 books.
yeah. To me,
Epic
the thing that
battles.
makes this feel real is the stakes, and not just the stakes of what was it 10,000 the risk of 10,000 years of darkness and chaos. But we'll get to some of the more other stakes involved in it, like past lives and stuff like that. Um, I will say, so back to Malcolm Bolin. There's a moment here where Eska and Desna freezes Malcolm Bolin, and Bolin's like, wait, which one? Eska? Eska. I was like, Eska, like, we didn't get to be together. Like, I didn't get to tell my true feelings about you, and I love you. And then Aubrey Plaza, because I just love mentioning it's
It's
Aubrey Plaza.
tremendous.
It's like, we could have had eternal bliss, but you ran away.
Is Venus
Uh,
William the spirit mushroom? Is she this?
I don't think so. I
Don't
highly
think so.
doubt it. No, that sounds like a guy voicing that spirit mushroom.
I'll have to go back and listen to it. I
Yeah.
really thought I was onto something, but it's been a couple weeks, and I might be smarter now than I was then.
Um, so uh, Michael thinks so then Eska and Desna lets them go. Oh, and then Eska gives him a really, really nice, I think, passionate, real kiss. Um, and 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 then Michael's like, "That was the greatest acting I've ever seen you done. Like, it's way better than your movers." And it's like, "Yeah, that was acting," which I kind of call BS. Even though I like this moment, it needed way more support. And this is and also the season feels long. Like I forgot the last time. Well, I remember exactly what happened the last time that Bolin saw Eska. That was like it feels like that was episode 5, maybe episode 4. Yeah, when she's chasing him and Varric is like, Bolin, they're in Varric's ship, and Bolin's like, "Can this thing outrace my crazy ass girlfriend?" And Varric is like, "Why do you think I built the thing?" And
That
I
does
love
feel
that.
like it was a long time ago.
Yes, it
Five
feels like it
maybe.
was.
I'm just spitballing, but 5 seems
Yeah,
good.
yeah. And then since then, Bolin has been infatuated with that movie actress girl, and he thinks that they're
Who
dating and stuff like that.
clearly has nothing for him whatsoever.
Yeah. And so I don't buy that Bolin really had these feelings for Eska. I would have really liked for them
It's a bonded by
to,
trauma moment.
yeah.
Not
I
good,
mean,
not like deep feelings, but I will believe that he believed that they were real feelings, but he is
hmm.
wrong.
But I would have liked if they expanded on it. If they would have uh made that part of his story, especially, he went and was sort of with Ginger. Like he could be thinking to himself, like, this isn't real, but at least what I had with Esco is real. Like I wonder, was there anything there or anything? Granted, I don't want it to end with them. I want it to end exactly how it ended. I just want there to be more in between. That way it would have helped support this scene here. Also, I didn't care for much of the stuff that's going on with the movers. So if you add a couple of different dynamics to it, then maybe that stuff would have been better and it would have made Bolin less of a very cartoonish character that I think he became in that little part of the story.
Don't add more romantic drama, Chris. I can't handle anymore.
Well, it wouldn't be adding
It sure
that much
sounds
more.
like
Just,
it. Let's,
but it'll make for a better story.
let's someday when we officially argue which show is better, that's gonna be like my resounding argument is like, well, there's no him and her back and forth off and on nonsense in
Oh,
Avatar, and that.
if you're a Zutara fan, you think there definitely is.
Well, I'm absolutely not, so that clears that one up. Okay, I don't have room in my heart for emotions. I can't handle it. The I agree that it feels forced. Like I said, I'll give it a pass for a bonded by trauma where he in that exact moment probably feels like he's having some deep feelings. When later he'd look back and be like, "That was a poor choice."
Yeah.
It wasn't a poor choice because it got us out alive, but it was a poor choice to feel that way.
Um, okay, so back to the Unlock Korra fight. There's a really great moment in here where Korra is like trapped in this little fissure in the ice, and and Unalaq is pushing them against each other. Also, it's really cool to see Unalaq's bending being amplified with being with fused with Vatu now, because before like he could barely kind of take on Korra's dad, right? Like Korra's dad is a strong bender, but not enough to go toe to toe with her, the Avatar. But now you see that um, Unalaq is fused with Vatu, and he's the Dark Avatar. His power is even greater now, which is kind of just good to see that upscale, that power scale up.
I really dig that they get it. You get to see it immediately. There's like an immediately gratifying payoff to
Hmm.
holy crap, look what he can do.
Yeah.
Very
Um,
terrifying.
Also, if anyone's wondering, yeah, he can only do water because he only ever learned water bending. Just because you're an avatar doesn't mean you get all the bending.
Core
Even if
facet
he,
of Chris's dark avatar theories. By the way, if you've not watched that video, it's been a
I,
that's an old video. I feel like that was an earlier one.
I got a lot of old videos. I need to get
Um,
some new videos. That's what I need to do.
no, the old ones are enough, and you're just gonna let it end after
Uh,
6 seasons in a movie and just be
things
happy with it.
I still have so many videos to do. I'm not giving get up. I just have to find the time to do it. My last job I didn't care enough about that I would take time out to, edit and write.
You
Also, I
like
didn't
start
sometimes,
scripting during work and things like
yeah.
that. I've been there. We'll just someday your kids will all go to college, and then you can make videos again, or you'll have to make videos to pay for college or something. I really don't know how that works.
I mean, hopefully by that time, either college is free or there's some type of reparations for Black people in the term in terms of of of
Serious social and education reform.
yeah. Um, or maybe there'll be reparations through. So, the Tulsa Race Massacre is coming up on its 100-year anniversary. Is not the word I'm looking for because I only like to use anniversary for good events. But now there's more talk about like reparations for their survivors and those affected. I wonder what that's going to look like. Anyway, that's not here nor there. If anyone doesn't know about the Tulsa Race Massacre of 1921, so I'm from Tulsa. It's something I'll always try to educate people on.
Something I
But
didn't know about till I met you for sure.
long
Despite
story
being very
short,
well educated in my own mind.
don't take it personal. Long story short, uh, the greatest massacre probably in U.S. history, the time in U.S. history where more Americans killed other Americans um, on American soil, happened in 1921 in Tulsa, Oklahoma. Tulsa, Oklahoma had like the best black society there was, like businesses and everything. It was a great place for black people. It's called Black Wall Street. They had different businesses, everything. They have their own airport, their own churches, their own not like a church chicken. Sorry. Uh, they have their own airport, their own movie theaters. Like it was all they kept all within the community. Great place to be at. Black boy was falsely accused of raping a white woman or assaulting her. Black people were scared he was going to be hung. They went to the courthouse to to uh, to try to save him. Well, to try and just protest, and you can't just hang him. White people went there with guns, and then someone tried to disarm this black guy because they told black people with guns to go home, but one person didn't. They tried to disarm this one guy with guns. Shots fired. All the white people with guns pretty much just slaughtered every single black people, all the black people. And they went to their neighborhoods, burned them down. Like they dropped the first bombs dropped on U.S. soil wasn't Pearl Harbor. It wasn't I forget what the other oh it wasn't 9/11 or aerial attacks. It wasn't that. It was 1921 in Tulsa, um, and then they burnt and killed so many. They burned down the whole city, or this whole part of the city, about 32 city blocks. There was for 1921, I think there was like 4 million in property damage, lives that were killed was anywhere between 100 and 300, but no one knows the exact number because bodies were buried so quickly. No one knows the count. Some people just ran away, which they're doing. They're excavating. They found evidence of deep mass graves, and now they're digging up those remains to see what those are. But long story short, Tulsa, Oklahoma used to be a great place for Black people, and then there was a huge massacre that really messed it all up. Um, and that's a very light way of saying it. There's still survivors today. There's only like four of them. They recently actually spoke at Congress, the U.S. Congress, about what they saw that day and everything. It's really horrific things. I mean, there's so many things in our history, in our U.S. history, that's messed up. But and
Can you
Tulsa is
remind
one of
me?
those things.
Can you remind me the date?
It was Memorial Day, 1921.
Okay.
So May 31st is kind of the night that it happened, and then it carried on until the next day. By the next day, they were rounding up Black people and putting them into internment camps, and they stayed there for weeks. The hospitals wouldn't let in um, Black people; they were denied them service. My high school, Booker T, actually served as a location for the Red Cross to set up, and but anyway, I don't know how I got started on this
I don't know either,
subject.
but there's never a bad time.
Yeah. Uh,
Um, Started with a college
wow.
comment. Uh, Never a
What?
bad time for. Well, and to be fair, it's very timely. Memorial Day. If you're listening to this, it's 1 to 2 days. If you're listening to this when it comes out, so maybe something to ponder upon this fine American holiday weekend.
Yeah.
Um, so timely, if nothing else.
Yeah. Man, I gotta listen back to this episode. I'm curious how did I end up talking about
We
Tulsa
were
Race
talking about
Massacre.
college, and then got started about getting your kids to college and what it would look like at that time.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's right. Yes, because thoughts about reparations started up again about for the survivors of the Tulsa Race Massacre. So yeah, so maybe they'll get free college reparations through that, or Uh, sadly, the most likely part that they'll get free college is probably because my wife's been looking at my history, right? My family history, not just my history. No, she's been looking at
Just yours
she, yeah, just
specifically.
she's looking at my family history, right? And so like I had a great uh whatever who around before the Civil War was enslaved by Native Americans, which that's something people don't know about. Native Americans also, often enslaved Black people as well. Not to throw Native Americans under the bus,
No,
but
that does sound like some bullshit. Though it's like, all right, we got away from white people.
yeah.
Let's go
Um,
live over here.
and I'm only laughing just to because
What
it's
else?
nice to
What
have
else
levity
can you
today.
do? How else can you respond
Yeah,
to that?
but so Native Americans get certain um, reparations, if you will. They get certain benefits, if they're part of a tribe and stuff like that. So Black people are like, we're part of this tribe. Like we've been enslaved by them. And then the United States government was like, yeah, we recognize you as being part of that tribe. So
It
like
wasn't
there's
by choice, but it happened. So
yeah. So there's like documents of one of my great grandmas trying to get some type of service, some type of assistance, and uh, and then she put that she was part of the tribe, and like that paperwork was filed and everything that was accepted. So like
that's kind of
I could,
incredible that you were able to go back that far and dig that up.
yeah. Well, my wife like that show Finding Your Roots. It's on like
I
PBS.
do
And
not know that show at all,
so
but I'm gonna trust you.
yeah, so they get like celebrities and they go through like this guy. Oh, I forgot his name. He's like a professor in this big college or something. He's I forgot his name. But anyway, he sits down with the celebrities. He'll go through their family history with them, which is really interesting stuff. I feel like my wife set me down and did that. She's like, all right, I know you. Here you go. Your dad is this. Your dad is right here, and his dad is here, and then his dad was located here. So it's pretty fun to do. But anyway, if I
This might just be like a white Christian thing, but we always just have it in a Bible. Like you get a Bible when you get married, and in the front of the Bible
oh
there's like a family tree that however far back you can get it, and that's where the family tree
that's-
lives. And I don't know why that is.
huh. My wife had to look up like census reports and stuff.
We just, hey, what was great grandma's name? I don't know. Open the Bible. It's in the front.
And then the thing is, you run into like issues of like my dad being like, "Look, I don't know who my dad's dad really is. Like, it was one of these two guys. Like,
Mm,
what was it? The guy with the last name Ford."
maybe not. Yeah.
Yeah. And so anyway, so we could once we get a little bit more information on that, we could kind of like file to get actual recognition of being part of a tribe.
I hope
Which
you
is
don't
bad in
find
this
this
case.
joke inappropriate, but I have to make it anyway. It's like talk about adding even more diversity to our humble little podcast here.
Yeah. Which so the messed up part is like the only way like me as a black person to get reparations is not because of like slavery or because of the Tulsa Race Massacre. It's because my ancestors happened to be enslaved by Native Americans.
Well, because of so it's still because of slavery, just not the just like a real roundabout
Yeah,
way, like a Rube Goldberg machine of getting something.
yeah.
It's not
But
ideal by any measure.
yeah. But either way, I'm not paying for my kids' college. So they'll either have to get a loan.
Hey, all other social things aside, not trying to make a statement other than I always tell Heather is like we're sending our kid to trade school, and then and we'll pay for that part, and then whatever they do beyond that, that will like, hey, we set you up, you got a life and a job and stuff, and you're good. You take it from
Yeah.
there.
I
Trade
mean, look,
school, look into it, everybody. It's good.
I got loans. I paid them off in 10 years like everybody else does. Unless you want to be really one of those responsible people and pay them off early.
I did not have loans, and my family, not because my family helped.
Really?
I went to a really small school, and that makes you look smarter than you really are. So my
Oh, okay.
scholarship opportunities were disproportionate. I'm grateful, but I'm not going to rub it in anybody's faces. I probably did not deserve them as much as many other kids in bigger schools.
See, I did it
Um,
the wrong way. I went to a pretty tough high school, Booker T, like I mentioned before. We call it Booker T. Some people call it, it's Booker T Washington High School, but we all call it Booker T, which is like the only high school called by the first and middle initial.
yeah, well, and I feel like when NFL football players refer to it, they just call it Booker T. Also,
Yeah. Um,
there's a few of them,
which
which you are well aware.
uh, I took like hard classes, and my GPA was terrible because I took a hard class. My GPA was like a 2.6,
I went
which
to. Oh, I'm
which
sorry.
in my mom thinks my mom always like misremembers me. She's like, "You were smart in high school, right?" I was like, "I didn't really try." She's like, "Oh, but you turned around college, right?" I was like, "Yeah, my college GPA was like a 3.6." So she was like, "So you could have tried and got better." I'm like, "Yeah, could have tried if I just didn't care."
I went to a school where there really weren't hard classes and easy classes. There were about two classes that you could choose from every hour, sometimes not two per hour. They might have been reserved for folks in other grades. Chris, I had to take band one year just because there was nothing else to take. I didn't know how to play an instrument, so you know what I did is I played the triangle. I'm not joking. I knew how to read music, and so I could understand
Huh.
where to hit things on. So that's the high school that I went to. So I'm not claiming to
Thing is,
be
there's only like one note on a triangle, right?
that. There is, so you just have to understand the rhythm of the wind, right? And that's just
Yeah,
muscle memory anyway. So yeah,
yeah.
high school made me look smart, and then I got scholarships. But my wife got help, so I rubbed that in her face
Yeah.
constantly. She got the parental
I
help.
mean,
She's
I
not going to
didn't.
listen to this podcast, so it's fine. But I'm
Hello, I probably took the easiest class you could take in high school. So I did not take driver's ed uh, until my senior year after I already had my license. And my teacher was like, "You already got your license. You don't have to do anything at all." So I would just like take a nap in class or work on. Most of the time, I would just take a nap, or I'll work on some other work. But most of the time, I would just take a nap, like on the floor, just
Me,
with.
me, and my friend Tracy Ford, not your wife Tracy Ford, but my male white friend Tracy Ford, were in. It was in the yearbook class, and it was at the same time as yearbook. And I don't remember they gave it a name, but it was essentially us learning how to use Dreamweaver software, which is like kind of a click and drag website builder before you could just do that online. But I just remember it distinctly because everybody else was doing yearbook, and we just like sat at computers. And I mean, we did some Dreamweaver, but we mostly watched early YouTube, which was really bad, by the way, real bad. Like they didn't know enough about YouTube to even have it blocked at school at that point, and now it's not blocked again because it's too pervasive and useful. But
Yeah.
yeah, no, it was Chris. We had very different school experiences, I imagine, for better or for worse. But I will be the first to admit, I'm very fortunate, very lucky.
I didn't graduate with a lot of debt. I mean, I graduated with like 10,000, maybe 15, which
This
really
seems
isn't
like
a
a
whole.
reasonable amount, right?
Yeah, I mean, I was an RA, so
BNRA kids,
half of
it's good.
that you would have been probably cost of boarding and tuition was like 40 grand for all 4 years, and so cut that in half for being an RA.
What if you go to trade
Um,
school and be an RA? Can you do that? Are there
you
RAs at trade schools?
cannot just get a job as an
They
RA.
just
They don't
double you
allow
up.
that.
That'd be incredible.
That would be a
Um,
terrible job if you're not living in I don't,
it would be
uh,
weird, but yeah. Hey, be an RA, kids. That definitely
you should definitely be an RA. I would recommend everyone becoming a resident assistant, not only because you get free housing and free food, but because it's probably
it's a
my top
tremendous
two
teaching tool
jobs.
of a
Yeah,
job. It is going to teach you about yourself and like your personal like leadership and workload management and uh what
yeah.
it like all. It's going to teach you a lot about yourself. You
Teach
should be an
you
RA.
teach you how to handle difficult situations, all
Very
sorts of
much
different
so.
situations.
Constantly.
How to be an authoritative figure, but still try to strike a balance.
And not
Like,
be an asshole and still have friends and stuff. Yeah.
yeah, like I felt like I was. I mean, I got better at the job as I did it for 2.5 years. My last year was the best. I had a great floor, built a great community. Like, you know how hard it is to get freshman boys to like
To do
to
anything.
do
Yeah.
to do anything, especially stuff that isn't like going party or something. Like, hey, let's all eat lunch together. Let's all watch a movie. Like, it's difficult to do. Um, and then also being like, if I catch you drinking, I'm gonna make you throw away out all your beer, even though you just paid
I'm
for
gonna
it.
make you pour it out right in front of your face, you jerk. You wanna
Exactly.
go
I'm
eat
i
some
I'm
lunch?
I'm gonna make you. You just bought a 24 pack of beer. I'm gonna make you open up each can and pour it down the drain.
We
And I am not gonna feel bad about it at all. I like getting a bust. Like I remember like some days, like the next day, man, we're really going off tangents. I'm sorry, people, but
we're gonna have to put timestamps in this one. I just
yeah.
accepted that this one needs timestamps. Hey, Chris, this
Like,
podcast. I already said we're not getting paid. This podcast is about us.
like I remember like morning, like the morning after a big bus, like an RA will come in the office. I'd be like, I got a big bus last night. They're like, okay. As if we're
You like
like,
flash your badge.
yeah, got. Let's say I had a weed bus, had two alcohol bus. The thing is, I don't. I, s- it's not that I like busting people, because it's a difficult situation. Like
It's your
having
friends,
to having
or
to mentally negotiate a situation with people, especially people who weren't on your floor, because we would go and do rounds through each floor. And so you go to someone else's floor, they're not as comfortable with you as a resident assistant. So you gotta reassess your authoritative figure. It's not as friendly. It's more of a confrontational one because they don't know you. They don't know your style. They just know you're the person trying to in their way of enjoying their day. But
just the guy who's gonna dump their liquor out right in front of their face.
yeah.
The biggest weirdest one for me was that coming from a real small place, weed was not like very common to me in high school. Like I knew what weed was from movies, but that's about it. And so went to college for a year and mostly stayed in a library and did lots of homework and then became an RA the next year. And I remember them describing like what to do in weed situations, and they're like, all right, yeah, you mark it down, what room it's at, and then if it happens like I don't know, like 5 times or something over the course of a quarter, then we will try to
Wow.
like formally do something about it. It's like
You
you
guys were lenient.
well, that's and I kind of asked is like why if we hear kids like drinking and stuff, we knock on the door, we ask them to open it up,
Yeah.
and then we see the booze, we make them dump it out or whatever. It's like why don't we do that for weed? And I don't remember exactly how they worded it. It was like a politically correct way of saying is like, well, if they hide the weed and you can't see the weed, by the time like cops or anything would get here, like all the everything is dissipated and everything's gone and like legally you can't do anything about it anyway. So they're like you just keep a tally in this sheet here, the rooms where we think there's weed problems. It's like, oh, okay.
No, I mean, I had like plenty of weed buzz. Like our
I don't
our
know
thing
why
was
we had to treat it different. It feels like if you knock on a door and
I
open
mean,
it
it's
up
more illegal.
and I know it was. I don't know if it's just the difference of like liquor. You open it, you see cans and stuff. Like it's easier
It's
to
probably,
spot.
honestly, Sean, let's be real here. It's probably because they didn't want you guys getting sports players in trouble.
I mean, I'd say that other than there was no athletes in my
Uh,
dorm at
okay.
all, zero.
But other dorms had athletes, right?
We have at KU we had dorms specifically for athletes, which were
Yeah.
10 times more specialer than any other
Oh,
dorms.
okay.
Chris, they have in one of the places they live. It's right by Allen Fieldhouse. They have
Mm.
a half court basketball gym in the dorm. They
Oh
live
man,
between Allen Fieldhouse and the rec. They live between them, and there's a half court of basketball in the dorm.
that sounds fun.
It's
Oh man.
beautiful. It's incredible. Would recommend being a college athlete if you can pull that off somehow. Kids, figure it out. Yeah, KU treat their athletes a little different up there,
Yeah.
and it's pretty make me
Yeah,
jealous.
getting them shoe deals and stuff. Yeah, they're cheap.
Chris, we got to get them to come play somehow. Um,
All right, tangent over. Sorry.
Hey,
Oh
you know
man.
what though?
Okay.
I enjoyed every second of that thoroughly.
Yeah.
It was first it started emotional and powerful, and then it went to educational, and now we're going back to this cartoon that we really like. Shut up.
Okay, there's a moment in here that I was gonna get to right before whatever tangent I went off on, where Cora is stuck in that fissure and she feels like she's defeated, and Rava tells her like, "Do not give in to 10,000 years of darkness. Like you are the Avatar." And then Cora gets out of it, music swells up, and I like how she's like, "You cannot win." I don't know, it's just really great fighting. And the fight carries on, and then they get into this like water bending tussle, which interesting enough, she probably learned that waterbending move from Katara. You see Katara using this move a lot of times, especially against her fight with Azula and the crystal catacombs under Bossing say. But this time it doesn't work out for Korra because Unalaq as the Dark Avatar can do some freaky spiritual stuff, like take parts of
Unprecedented is the word I'm going to
yeah.
use.
Like
Unprecedented stuff.
I don't care what avatar it is, honestly. I don't think any of them are winning against a person who can rip Rava right out of you.
It's, I don't know if you've ever had like a soul ripped out of yourself before.
Yeah.
I don't feel like there's physical maneuvers that are going to stop that very easy.
Yeah.
It's not a
I
grounds
mean
for
he was
argument, is
just
what Chris is saying. It's not a
he was
grounds
just
for
on
any
the
argument.
Dark Avatar, which is on another level spiritually. Also
That sounds like a positive.
also
Spiritually, he was.
yeah. Also, if you think about the power scale between Rava and Vatu, right, it's like a seesaw. And their size is a direct reflection of their strength. When Rava fused with Wan, she was this tiny little spirit because she'd been beaten up so much, and Vatu is here. That has stayed relatively the same. So then when Unalaq fused with Vatu, he was fusing with a very, very strong Vatu. So before Rava in the last harmonic convergence, Rava tilted the tides in her favor. Right? If you have the scale, you have both Rava and Vatu's scale on the same thing. Once she fused with Juan, that tilted the scales in her favor. But now Vatu is fused with Unalaq, and that tilts the scales more so in his favor. And so, of course, he's going to be stronger than uh than Korra, or it makes sense that he would defeat Korra. Yeah, then he rips her out, and this is. I wish I could go back and watch this again because I know I was feeling it roughly when Vatu would just like whip Rava and
with his kite strands.
yeah, and like with every single one, first you see Aang's spirit spent, then you see Roku, then Kyoshi, and then you see Korra like reaching out, and you think like Korra's gonna do something. I don't know what she's gonna do, but she's gonna do something because she has to do something because these are the past lives at stake. And nope, she can't do anything. Like she's helpless, defenseless against this. And yeah, and then Unalaq completely destroys all the past lives, all the memories of them, and he destroys Rava, which leads him into growing even stronger and bigger into like this huge, mega dark avatar.
Not in a good way, because obviously I'm sad that it happens as a viewer. But when he rips Rava out and like consumes, I guess is the right word, is kind of sick. I love it.
Yeah,
It's a
yeah,
sick part of the episode. Sick, cool, sick, but also kind of weird, sick. Like I don't know what you're gonna do
yeah.
with that.
And Korra's fire breathing reminds me a lot of Kyoshi in the Kyoshi novels. Like I believe there's a scene in Kyoshi novels where Kyoshi is fighting um, uh, her earthbending mentor. I can't think of his name. Dang it. Who was Korra's friend?
John Jew.
Jianju. And like she like breathes at him, but he like stops it somehow. And this reminds me of that. Like she breathes the fire, but it just shuts her face up. Um,
I know I'm going to start another tangent here, but I'm going to try not to. The other day, I decided the next dog I get, I'm going to get a girl dog. I'm going to name it Julie because
ooh.
Charlie doesn't really respond to commands. He just responds to like one or two words that he knows. So, like walk and squirrel and outside. And so I figure if I teach a dog and I just say, Julie, do the thing, and then it'll do whatever the thing is that it thinks it's supposed to do at that time, kind of like Charlie does. And that's my tangent. I can't. I had to tell somebody because Heather wouldn't
Well, at least
care.
it was Avatar related.
It was. It was close. Yeah. It's gonna be a
Um,
great dog.
yeah. Which so it's all. I also find it interesting that when when Rava was destroyed, Vatu when the Vatu turned into this big, huge Unavatu dark spirit type of deal. Um, which later on, which I believe Korra by the end of the series is capable of doing something like that. I don't know. She's capable of tapping into a greater power than we've seen before. Which maybe they'll explore that in the comics, or maybe they won't. Maybe because then she'll become just too OP, and that doesn't make as interesting of a, of a character when you become very, very, very OP.
And I don't like it. Just it means you have to have kind of more and more OP villains, honestly, which is usually the thing
Yeah.
that bugs me more. Is like, where are these people all just spring out of the ground? All these
Yeah,
people we never heard about. I don't
that's
like
one of the
that.
things
I don't
that
like that gradual power creep. I guess in like any shows or anything,
yeah,
honestly.
that's understandable. Um, that's one of the things that I actually find really interesting about Avatar is that they somehow are in the world of Avatar, the Avatar is the absolute greatest power, unless you're an Avatar also. Like in this case, the Dark Avatar. The Avatar state is the single most OP thing in the universe. It is capable.
By design.
Yes, it is capable of splitting a whole entire landmass and moving it miles away. It's capable of ripping a hole in space time. Like it's a very powerful instrument, and yet they they dwarfed it a little bit because they're like, well, no, you don't want to use it because now you open yourself up to dying in the Avatar state, and that breaks the cycle. Also, what they did in Avatar: Last Airbender was they never let Aang control it, and what they did so that still made Aang's, even though Aang had the power within him, they still made it to where he wasn't that OP. In Legend of Korra, Korra is often um, has some type of disability or some type of mental block that she can't channel the Avatar state that way, and so that's also a good check on her being OP. Right, the first season she couldn't control the Avatar state. Um, this season she's up against a dark Avatar, so that dwarfs it. The next season she's dealing with a bunch of stuff. She was poisoned. After that, she was still dealing with PTSD. They do a good job of not making the Avatar, who is the absolute most OP character in the universe, not very OP. But
I think it gets. Yeah, that's a nice way to put it. I still have maybe a smidge of issue in. And I think it's just because in these four books, they have to come up with, like four big antagonists, four big bads. Whereas in the first one, we're just constantly building up to one big bad. And so I think that's part of why it feels this way. But it does feel like in Korra, like every new villain has to like step up over previous villain in certain ways or whatever, and kind of ramp it up, which you just don't run into in Avatar. So I won't say I take issue with that. That's too strong. It's just one of those things that is not my preference. Going back to like the single full 3 seasons of story arc. Pardon me, 3 books of story arc versus 4 different story arcs.
yeah. Okay. So, man, we've been talking for a good minute now. Well, 51 good minutes. All right. So the
20 of
connections have
those were
been
edutainment.
the connections are severed, which was very hard to look at. And that's kind of the end of that part. That part of the story. On the flip side of there, you have Tenzin, Kaya, and Bumi going to look for Janora, and they get lost in the spirit world, and they. I like how they run into that. That mushroom is hilarious to me. Like
I want to
they,
go listen to it. I feel like it sounded like Venus, but I'm most likely wrong. But
yeah, no, it's not. I just watched it. Um, they get
it wasn't
there,
me.
and then Boomy is like, "We passed that spirit mushroom 3 times," and then Tenzin's like, "No, it's a different mushroom," and the mushroom is like, "No, it's me. I'm the same mushroom."
Other way around. Boomy, Tenzin's like we passed
Oh,
that mushroom 3 times,
you're right.
and
You're right. You're
Boomy's
right. You're right.
doing the tracking.
Yeah, yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
listen to a mushroom instead of your own brother.
Exactly, exactly, exactly. Oh, I don't know why that mushroom cracks me up, but it does. Um,
I think it's the idea of you think of like hallucinations and doing shrooms, and now they're talking to a mushroom in the spirit world without having done shrooms.
yeah.
I feel like that's irony when the mushrooms are talking to you and you're sober.
Hmm,
I think
that's
that's
true. Yeah.
it's a weird
So
irony there.
then they run into Iroh, which he gives them like a quick little hint of advice. But it's good to see Iroh again.
Like
It's
some
always cool to see
cryptic
Iroh.
Pirates of the Caribbean bullshit advice. Iroh, come on,
Yeah,
just tell him where to go.
yeah, exactly. Um, anyway, Tenzin figures it out, and they go to the Fog of All Souls. Tenzin is like, this fog is like a spirit of itself, and it ends up like making you see um, like your worst fears essentially, which I find I find that as a really interesting character device, because we quickly get to see a little bit about the characters. Like Kaya, they get lost in in the fog of lost souls, and Kaya's like, "Who are you? Like, I don't have any family. I want to, like, I'm free." Like, she clearly has some fear of of being alone, or a fear of not being free, which is part of her story that she went off for years and years and really probably didn't recently come back until their dad died.
Voice of the mushroom is Grey Delisle Griffin.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Wait, really? Okay, so well, I
yeah,
guess I was wrong. It's not
yeah.
a.
But she's got such a dynamic voice.
She does.
I
That's
I get
funny
why you
that
might feel that
her.
way, but
I
yeah,
didn't know she could go so low. I mean, the thing
wasn't
sounds
me.
kind of low.
It's like
Was it me?
it's not like
Oh,
bass low, but not like
it's yeah.
normal average female low, I guess.
To me, it's like a boy who just hit puberty. No.
Yeah, a little
Yeah.
bit.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Um.
Sorry,
And
couldn't help
then
myself.
Boomy's talking about cannibals and stuff.
The
Like, what the heck
cannibals are
has
going.
Boomy been through?
He actually we've been discounting his stories all this time, but he's got some serious PTSD in there.
Yeah. Like,
Poor
and then
guy.
Tenzin deals with like the weight of the whole Air Nation being on the shoulders. And then he comes across. So this is a moment of some confusement, I think, for some Avatar fans, rightfully so, because it's not clear sometimes. So this image comes by Tenzin when he's lost, and it's Aang. The vision is of Aang, and Tenzin's like, "I'm sorry, like I could do whatever." And Aang, this vision of Aang is saying, tell him like, "You're not you're not me. You don't have to be me. You know, you're not a reflection of me. You're a reflection of yourself." Um, which a lot of people think that was like Aang's spirit, um, like talking to Tenzin. But to me, it's clearly not. To me, it's clearly Tenzin talking to himself, especially when you see Aang transform into Tenzin. He's seeing the image. He's finally seeing his reflection as himself and not his father. Like that's what that metaphor. That's what that symbolizes.
Well, not.
And so to me, it's definitely not Aang's spirit. And also that just calls into question a lot of confusion on because at that same time, uh, Grava was being split from Cora and stuff.
I think and Tenzin has such a strong presence of mind. At least is how I take it. Of like, what those things that this vision of Aang is telling him should have broken him, or like would have broken a lesser version of him, or something. Just hearing those
Yeah.
words come out, he just kind of had the presence of mind to sort of fight back, use it as a focusing tool or whatever. So I don't know. I didn't even consider the other side. I just presumed, yeah, this is your own imagination, just trying to jack with you. So
Covering my mic did not work. I'm sorry, listeners.
it makes me realize how infrequently we sneeze on this show. It doesn't happen very often. We
Yeah.
talk a long time and rarely sneeze. Interesting.
And
Anyway,
I mowed the lawn yesterday.
and it's horrible allergy season. My throat's killing me.
Uh, but I think so. I've been thinking about this. I kind of think it would maybe be interesting if it was actually Aang's spirit, and they made that clear. Like Aang talking, like seeing Aang talk to Tenzin one last time, being like, "Listen, I'm proud of you. Like you don't see yourself as a reflection of me. See yourself as yourself. Like you are Tenzin, my son. You are not. Well, no, I'm sorry. You are Tenzin. As I saying, you're Tenzin, my son sounds puts more weight that he's the Avatar Aang's son. But like you are Tenzin, you are your own human being. I love you for the person you are, not because you are just my son. Something to that effect with better writers to make it better. But um, something to that effect. I think it would kind of be cool and it would lend to the story of Tenzin because this is one thing that's a great moment for Tenzin. I think he's coming full circle with his character arc this season. Right, the season started off him being very spiritually insecure, especially compared to Unalak, and then compared to even Janora. He's been very humbled, and honestly, I feel like he feels like, "What do I even do?" Like he's so stuck. And I think this is a great moment for him, and that would have added to it, especially if Aang said this before the net season, right? Because net season, I feel like he does live up to Aang's legacy and expands on it by expanding the Air Nation. But that's not what would have made Aang proud. Aang was proud no matter what.
Um, yeah, like I said, just it's one of those where I didn't give it a second thought while I was watching it. I was like, oh, just his mind playing tricks, and he kind of powered through. Um, he seems sort of in touch enough that I could see that not being easy, but why it would be him and not the other two, with all due respect to
Yes.
Kai and Boomy. Boomy would
Yeah.
obviously be the first to go. Let's be real.
Oh, we didn't even talk about it. They come across Zhao, which was a great surprise.
Hope we're not in here as long as that guy.
Yeah.
I am the Moon Slayer.
Yeah, and then he thinks Tenzin is Aang. Is like, you're the last Airbender, and then yeah,
You, s-
I know that was a really great callback.
I don't know why I feel this way, but you sounded. I don't know why you sounded a little bit like Harrison Ford when you said that. I don't think that's what you meant to, but
No,
you're the last Airbender.
no, I hear it now. I guess any part of the 4 gene.
Yeah,
Uh,
it comes with the territory. You're all related somehow.
um, so then, yeah, Tenzin saves Jinora. He saves Kai and Bumi, but then Jinora has to go off because she knows the Korra's in trouble, and that's kind of how the episode ends.
A serious, pretty serious cliffhanger. Like it feels like you're at the end of the rope, and then the
Yeah,
episode cuts off.
and the thing I love when characters put in these situations is that I feel like good storytelling puts characters in situations that I'm like, I have no idea how they're going to get out of this problem.
Is there
But
such?
they figure out how to get out of the problem and it makes sense to me.
I'm trying to ask myself and think of if there's any other cliffhanger in the series that's like a. I'm gonna call this like a cold cliffhanger. Like a lot of cliffhangers is during like a big action packed scene or right before a rebound from from the big action packed scene. But this one, like, I don't know, it's got like a hopeless feeling to it, but
Mhm.
not. I don't know, just not right off the
Yeah,
heels of like a big fight or something. It's more of a the quiet exit of the episode, but still a serious cliffhanger. I don't know how to describe it other than it just doesn't feel like a standard cliffhanger.
mm.
It's very unusual.
Yeah,
Uh,
but
well, we've been chatting plenty long. Let's hit some ratings. You kept yours a surprise. Do you want me to do mine first, and then you can reveal yours?
no, I'm gonna do mine. It's
Okay.
fine. All right, so audio visual. Oh, I like how you put a question mark there. Good stuff. Audio visual.
The Riddler.
I gave it a 10. Let's just say 10. 10.
You said gave it in the past tense as you were clearly giving it in the present tense.
I gave it a 10. I felt like the music was really done really well. It really supported a lot of the moments where there was, a feeling of hopelessness, especially when Korra had Rava ripped out of her. I feel like the fight scenes were done really, really well. Like I got goosebumps in certain moments, especially the moment of Korra coming out of that little fissure. Part of me kind of, which I did mention before, like they probably could have just ended this fight with Korra defeating Unavatu right there. Uh, I probably would have accepted that. I probably would have liked it.
Just yeah, it would have
Um,
been fine. 12
yeah, I
episodes.
would
All
have been
right, we're
fine with
done.
it. Yeah.
Or 13.
But but uh, but I like the moment. Anyway, so that dives me into story. Story, I gave a 10 because I feel like oftentimes uh, writers and creators are hesitant to put their main protagonists in very difficult situations. And this is Cora probably at her most difficult situation. Like they took away something that was uh, so unique and important to the Avatar. They took away the past lives, which is something that a lot of fans absolutely hate Korra for. which and they kind of hate this show for doing that. But to me, you and Bryan and Mike always talk about this. Like everything has stakes, everything has consequences, and and this is one of those consequences. Which is why I think they will never bring back the past lives. I don't care what anyone was hoping for. People are like, oh well, Cora, maybe she can go to the spirit world and figure it out. Uh, someone wrote one time like Rava. I'm sorry, they wrote like Roku wanted to end the 100 Year War. He didn't. Aang did it. Aang wanted to bring back the Air Nation. He didn't. Korra did it. Korra wanted to connect to the past lives. Next Avatar? Question mark? Question mark? I want to be like, well, Korra tried to connect to her past lives like once after this, and then was like, Avatar wisdom is overrated. Anyway, like, and all,
She's also so young. Like we've got Roku's. I mean, we don't see his full life, but we've got his full life big picture. Like I don't
yeah,
even know how old Cora is at the end of these 4 books, but
22.
she got a lot of avataring in her future still.
Yeah. But my point being is that like the past lives, first of all, they're not. While they're important, there's no doubt about that. They're not like the end all be all. All right. Even Yang Chen in the Kyoshi novels was telling Kyoshi like, listen, there's thousands of although how should I say? There's like thousands of lifetimes, and you could spend your time asking all of them for advice on how to make the world better. But honestly, you wouldn't have really a better answer than the one you can come up with yourself. Because like
It's such
like
a
you have
beautiful
to,
parallel to Aang's situation too, of like having to get the advice from all the avatars and
yeah,
then being like, "Wait a minute, I'm
yeah,
not gonna do that."
yeah. I wish I could find the exact quote because Yang Chen put it so much more eloquently than I did.
I
I'm not
haven't.
giving her enough
It's
credit
time
here.
to for me to go back and redo those books. I think
Yeah,
it's time.
try reading do the audiobook.
I don't
It's
know them
pretty
yet,
good.
but I should. No
They're
reason not
on.
to.
Yeah, you can get them on whatever you get your audiobooks from. You could probably find it on Hoopla by now. But
True.
um, and yeah, so I love that there's stakes. Um, like that's a huge story element to take away the past lives, and they had the guts to do that. So I love that. So story gets a 10. Memorable, give it a 10. There's so many things I loved about this episode, so many callbacks, like to Zhao, um, this fight, that moment of Korra coming out the Fisher. Really great, memorable episode. Yeah, so 10. So all in all, 10 tens.
Ugh, whew, woof. Audiovisual. I feel really good about this. 9.5. I think the only minor itty bitty nitpick I have is this episode didn't take as much advantage of the spirit world for some sort of musical and aesthetic unusual creativity as I felt like it could have for the amount of time that was in there. Very minor nitpick. 9.5. It's excellent. Story is probably where we're gonna pick nits.
Yeah.
I don't know. It feels like there should have been a little, like when you said that they could have cut the fight off right there and that maybe we wouldn't have known. It almost felt to me like maybe initially that was the intention and they stretched it out one more for reasons I don't understand or care to know. But it sort of feels like it should be the ending and then it's not, and maybe not necessarily in a good or bad way. And like I said, I also just I don't know. I feel like there should have been more that Rava could have done. I straight up feel like Unalaq should have died when he got the crap swatted out of him just from the swat itself. Like there's lots of little things like why does that just get to pass all of a sudden? Why is that okay? I don't know. Um, it's still really good. It reflects my feelings on this entire book of that it's not what I prefer in my Avatar stories, I suppose. You having some allergy problems there, man?
I was reading the tie. Sorry.
Oh yeah, it's real late.
No,
Um,
is it 108?
yeah, man, we talked a long time,
Okay. No, it's
especially
fine.
after last week where it was like 30 minutes
We
on
got,
the
well, we
nose.
got to make up for the
Gotta miss.
27-minute episode.
We were busy last week. Dang it, we were busy. Nine memorable. I gave it a 9. I think it's not quite. It's extremely memorable. I would say it's probably not quite as memorable as the actual finale itself. Probably a little harsh on it here. 9 seems low in hindsight, but it's a 9. It's very memorable. I still fight with that. These last 2 or 3 episodes, kind of getting them all a little bit blended together, maybe, and that always
Yeah.
seems to ding it for me mentally. Overall, that comes out to 8.8. You put that with Chris's, that comes out to a
Uh,
9.4.
correct.
I think.
Yep.
Question mark? 9.4. Quick math. And that is The Legend of Korra, Book 2, Spirits, Chapter 13, the penultimate episode, Book 2, Darkness Falls. That means
Very
that
penultimate.
it's a super penultimate, which means that next week we will come back for you with the finale, the big finale to Book 2, and then we will finally get into Book 3, and I'm very excited about that. I'm thrilled, even.
Yes.
Chris, final thoughts on the episode, or can we just go to bed?
I'm going to finish watching Castlevania, and
Okay.
then I think I have one more episode.
I liked
I really want to
Castlevania
do.
season 4 a lot. I liked it a little more than season 3, and almost as much as the one teaser-ish season in season 2. Pretty close.
Yeah, season 1 was like very teaser-ish.
It is like literally like a pilot
Yes,
season. I don't even know what you
yes,
call that, but
yeah.
I like season 4 a lot.
I really want to do a video of Sypha. What's her name? Sypha? Sypha?
Sytha? Sypha or Sytha? I always forget if it's like an F
I think
or
it's
a
Sypha.
PH or a TH.
I believe there's a PH.
Okay, so
Sypha.
Sypha.
I really do a video of like Sypha versus Cora, who would win in a fight. It would be really close. It'd be really cool because she's pretty much like the Avatar, right? Like she can do water moves, fire. I don't think I ever see her do air that.
I don't feel like it would be a good competition because I feel like her setup time, her wind up time is longer, and she doesn't have the athletic prowess either to like fall back on. I feel like
I don't know. I don't know, Sean. I don't know.
she
Like
does some pretty sick stuff, but
watching episode 9 of this season was like, holy crap! Like she is powerful.
I don't necessarily like the means of where they get to at the end of season 4, but I do love the ending of season 4. If that makes sense. Like I don't not maybe not exactly how they get there, but I do dig it a whole lot. So really jacked about Castlevania season 4, and as a TV show in general, it's a good time, and a lot of people seem to enjoy it.
Yeah, they do. Yeah.
Well, I'm not going to do that though. I'm going to go to bed. It's going to be Castlevania. I can rewatch that some other day. I'm rewatching Dragon Prince right now. I don't know if you caught on to that. Rewatching Dragon Prince, and then my wife, as our separate like dinner show, is watching Cora with me. So watching back through Cora because she's never sat down and watched all Cora the whole way through. Now we're usually also playing Captain Toad Treasure Tracker and eating dinner, so I don't know how much she's picking up out of it, but she's watching it.
Yeah. Better than my wife.
Heather will watch most things. She's not very picky. That's how she ended up with me.
Me and my wife don't watch much stuff together because the stuff we would watch together is usually like rated R, and we have kids around.
Children. With food and media, Heather's circle of what she wants is this big, and then my circle, it's like half in, half out of her circle, and it's like this big. It's much smaller, and it's like 50-50 overlapping hers. Food, same way. But, okay, well, come back next week. Join us for the finale of Book 2, Spirits. My name's Sean Taylor. That's Chris Ford, a.k.a. The Objective Geek. And we're on Facebook at facebook.com/Avatar The Last Podcasters. And Twitter and Instagram, probably go toward Twitter first at last_podcasters. Excuse me. Getting all choked up. I forget all the other things that we're usually supposed to say here, other than we really appreciate you watching. And, well, Chris, I'll see you next time.
All right, whatever.
Going for the cool clothes. I like that. Take it easy. We'll see you next week.